I came across this story of Cardi B and Offset. You probably don't even listen to their music, but you've heard of them in some form or fashion. You've heard them in some form or fashion. And Cardi B went on Zane Lowe recently, and because she was promoting this album that's supposed to be coming out soon, and she started talking about divorce from Offset, because apparently they're no longer together. And the way she goes about it, it touches on what I was talking about last week in regards to marriage and divorce, which I thought was dope. So I'm like, yo, I want to talk about this with y'all or whatnot. So we're gonna talk about this, chat. We're gonna react to this Cardi B clip, and we're gonna discuss. I'm not gonna play like that what you see on screen, because there's a lot of cursing on there or whatnot. Cardi being Cardi. So I'm gonna play this edited clip, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Going through a divorce is very, very tough, because you marry somebody and the person that you divorcing is not the person that you married. You really ask yourself, like, who the did I marry? Like, there is no love there. But to me, I always feel like it's like, if I ever walk away from something, like, I get along with all my exes. Even if we don't talk, we never ended it on some nasty, nasty stuff. It has gotten to the point that it's like, I feel like I really hate you. Like, I think I hate you. Everybody should walk away with what they came with. Things gonna hurt for a couple of months, but especially when there's kids, it's like we should be able to co-parent. We should be able to have a conversation.
100%.
But it's not like that. It's actually, I'm going through something that is like kind of like very like dark. I don't know. It's like when somebody died. Like, it's like you feel pain, and then it's like now you got the bills of the funeral.
Yeah.
Man. What's crazy about that part, chat, is when you hear people say that, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper. And I'm just like, word? Word? Seriously, yo? Like I said in the last stream, marriage is your spouse is the only person that God allows you to be spiritually intertwined with. The only person. Your spouse is the only being in the universe that your spouse is the only being in the universe that God allows you to be spiritually intertwined with. That's why when Jesus says that divorce is not allowed except for on the case of infidelity, he means it because of how serious of a connection that is. That is literally God's love personified between husband and wife. And not only that, but the life that you create. You're joining not just two people, but you're joining families and backgrounds and seed. And so when you divorce, you break that apart. You're still gonna have a piece of each other and a piece of each other's lives together. And that never goes away. You can divorce that person and remarry or whatnot, but that never goes away. Never. It never goes away. That's why divorce is so painful. I have never heard of a person say, "Oh, I had a happy divorce." Never. Even if the divorce was amicable, I've never heard somebody say, "Oh, this was a happy divorce." No. It's always painful because of the spiritual ramifications of it first, and then everything else that comes with it. Everything that comes with it. That's why it says in Romans, like, yo, unless your spouse dies, you're not allowed to marry somebody else because of the spiritual bond that you have with your spouse. It runs deep. It runs deep. It runs deep. It runs deep. That's why I implore you and everybody else, and this is just a reassurance of myself. I am married, so I ain't got nothing to worry about. But for all those who are single and unmarried, I implore you to marry and find the right person, yo. Marry and find the right person. Do not settle simply because you're alone. Find somebody who's going to point you to Christ and challenge you and point you to Christ. Be somebody that you could genuinely be friends with and have a good time, and see somebody that you can actually build and like see a future with. Like, be the mother of your kids or like be working towards a certain goal, etc., etc. But you need that foundation, and above all things, and well, not above, but go along with that, stick it out, stay together, stay together. It's gonna be hard. I'm married. I know it's gonna be hard, but once again, you gotta stick that thing out. Separate if you have to. Separate and then come back. Separating and then come back. But especially if your marriage is God ordained, if it's something that you have sanctioned before a pastor, before God, I'm telling you, it's much easier to stay than it is to divorce. There was an old song back in the 70s or 80s, I forgot the decade, but it's cheaper to keep her. That applies in more ways than one. Now, for those who might watch this and be like, well, I'm going through, this type of marriage or whatnot where I'm being hurt, abused, and so on and so forth. Like I said, separation is fine. And even the Bible allows for divorce on the grounds of infidelity or divorce. On the grounds of infidelity. All right? The Bible does allow, Jesus does allow for divorce on the grounds of infidelity. However, if possible, if at all possible, reconcile, forgive, and be better. Reconcile, forgive, be better, and move on. Because I'm telling you, that is so much more rewarding than separated from that person and then having to deal with the ramifications of that for the rest of your life. I say this from the bottom of my heart. I say that from the bottom of my heart. So I pray that Cardi and Offset do get the healing that they need. And then ultimately they come to find Christ. And I mean genuinely find Christ. I'm not talking about, saying his name once or twice in a song, but then you rap about stuff that got nothing to do with God. Or even words go against his word. But something that where they actually come to know him. And so, yeah. That's my take on that.